we had a dog sort of waiting in the wings. He'd been living at the kennels for a while. They decided he probably wouldn't be old enough to start training that spring with us. So when my first dog wasn't working out, they said, well, let's give this other dog a try. If nothing else, you can work with him until we can find a suitable replacement. He's a little young, he might be immature, he's probably not ready, but you need to work a dog. That's where I met Quanto, and to our surprise, he was much more dog than I thought he was.
I volunteer my time on days off to come in and help the guys train their dogs. I've helped train Matt with Quanto.
At home, very calm, very collected. He was relaxed, but when I got him to work, he was all business.
And you could see it from day to day going to calls. You see him, you know, the relationship they have.
Matt and Quanto did 4.5 years as a team out on the street. And they were in the peak of their career when the unfortunate happened.
On October 7th, 2013, I was working the late shift when I heard downtown division members that someone had fled from them and was in a criminal flight.
It started with a pursuit. He dumped the vehicle just outside of a fenced compound.
The suspect had fled from his vehicle and ran away on foot, and I knew members were actively after him. I knew that it would be my job to assist in containing this individual so that they could find and catch him.
And I saw Matt take Quanto out of his vehicle. Then I started running beside Matt.
The suspect was running through the parking lot, and I didn't see any police after him at that point. As it turned out, he'd scaled a large fence once they lost sight of him, and no one was really sure where he was for a brief moment in time. I went into the parking lot intending to cut off the suspect's path. Started yelling at the suspect. I warned him that it was the city police. Told him that I would send the dog if he wouldn't stop. I yelled it 2 or 3 times as I started to run towards him, and simultaneously pressing the automatic door release, opening PSD Quanto's door. This wasn't a case where this guy was trying to get away. He braced himself, he got ready to fight. He was a big guy.
He was a very big man. He's 6'6", probably 240, 250 pounds.
And as I got closer, I could see Quanto attached, and he was swinging him around. I thought he was punching Quanto. I could see him with his right hand swinging and hitting him repeatedly on his side.
He was armed with a weapon, being a knife.
When I got to that range, I could see the knife in the suspect's hands, and I came to the realization that Quanto was actually being stabbed, not punched.
You know, Matt drew his firearm, but had to make the decision, what do I do at this point? Do I trust in my dog to do his job, even though he's going to be injured? Do I risk having other members go into where the accused is now armed with a knife? Do I make the decision that this is a lethal confrontation? These are all decisions that Matt had to make in a matter of seconds.
And at that point, several other patrol vehicles were starting to get into the area.
As the other police members arrived, PSD Quanto released.
So I didn't realize until actually Quanto dropped, and I started to see the pool of blood.
So I realized at that point that he must have been severely hurt. I'd never seen him release without being commanded to do so. I wasn't focused on the suspect at that point at all anymore. I knew the other police members were there. I looked down and his head was falling. So I picked him up into my arms and I cradled him in my arms as I ran back to the truck, the rest of the way to the truck. And I remember saying to him, "Not now, buddy, not now." It was too early in his life. He wasn't quite 6.
And now he knew that he had to get him to the emergency vet clinic, and that was his first priority, now that we had the accused under control.
I had the misbelief that he was somehow indestructible. He had helped me so many times and done so many things where in hindsight I thought how amazing it was what he was able to do.
To have a dog that's with you essentially 24/7, I can only imagine the relationship between the two.
I carried him into the back of the vet office and put him on one of the surgical tables, and the vet was there immediately and he started work immediately, and he probably tried for 10 to 15 minutes but was unable to revive him in any way and told me there wasn't anything more he could do at that point.
And this was something, you know, that can happen. We train for it all the time. We try to mentally prepare ourselves for it all the time. But when it does happen, you know, that it's still a shock. And these dogs are working dogs, but they're also part of a family.
For Quanto to put himself in that situation, he obviously had a lot of courage.
I don't even want to think about what would have happened had Quanto not been there to apprehend the suspect. It would have likely been me perhaps Constable Goudreau, who was also in close proximity. And the often overlooked life is the life of the suspect. Had he chose to apply some form of lethal force against a police member, he likely would have been shot and very possibly killed.
There is an opportunity here that, that we can take something bad, which is of course losing Quanto, and something good can come out of it, which is more protection for all the service animals, like on a daily basis.
We had been invited by the Prime Minister's office when they actually coined it as Quanto's Law for a piece of legislation that they were introducing for an amendment to the criminal code.
It's a hugely important piece to a service animal that's been injured or killed. So this gives us a little bit more teeth to actually protect the animals that deserve that protection.
Quanto did so much, and for him to be recognized and be in the Purina Animal Hall of Fame, it's awesome.
Quanto being inducted to the Purina Animal Hall of Fame is an honor in that he's joining the names of a series of animals that have had significant impact in the lives of a lot of people. He's going to be remembered for the dog that did anything I ever asked him to, no matter how scary or dangerous it was. And all police handlers like to think they have a great dog and a hard dog, but I got to see it.